What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another One Piece chapter review, and in today's video we're going to be giving our thoughts and opinions on chapter 1035. So the manga starts off with Drummer 66 still escaping Whole Cake Island, and then we see Sanji is giving a finishing blow to Queen. And to be honest, I was hoping that the battle between Queen and Sanji would be more of a grueling slogfest. But as we can see with most of this arc, Sanji, Zoro, a lot of Luffy's crew, they have powered up considerably. So for Sanji to be defeating Queen definitively is just mind blowing for me, but it's also not that mind blowing because his body, his conditioning that his father had done to all of his kids is now starting to kick in. We see this woman that is looking very anxious, and she seems to be looking around for something, and we see Sanji finds this mouse named Chuji, and the girl seems relieved. And then we get flashbacks to Sanji as a kid where he was feeding mice in the castle and how he was being scolded for it, right? So we still see that Sanji's a good person, but when Sanji asks the woman if she's unharmed, he gets cut off mid-sentence. We then see that King and Zoro are fighting, and we see that Zoro has landed a very, 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 very strong blow against King, and this destroys his mask. But then King just rips off the mask, and oh my god, King actually looks pretty freaking good, man. And we get this description of him like he has dark brown skin, white hair, and you know, it turns out the world government is offering 100 million berries for any information on Lunarians, which is the race that King is. And King just proceeds to just burn his own subordinates. To be honest, I wouldn't blame him. And Zoro is coming up with this hypothesis on how King's powers work and on how he can possibly defeat King. So long as there is a flame burning on King's back, King can take ridiculous amounts of damage and it won't really affect him. But when the flame goes out, King is able to move faster, but he does take damage. So when the flame is on, there's a lot of defensive abilities there. Movement speed is slower. And when the flame is out, the more offensive presence and offensive power is out. So Zoro was really just kind of timing his attacks based on like whether there was a flame on King's back or not. We see from King's flashbacks that he used to go by the name Arbor, and that he was being experimented on by the world government when he had met Kaido, and Kaido was pretty young at the time, and Kaido had broken out, and Kaido was telling Arbor that they're not going to let you go. They're doing experiments to test your endurance. And Kaido offered Arbor to join him, and that he would never sell Arbor out. And Arbor asked him, do you really think that you can change the world? And Kaido was like, I'm the only one who can. And we see that Kaido and Arbor are both causing this mass amount of destruction at this facility that they were both imprisoned in. And I like that. I really do like seeing these flashbacks because it does give more nuance to the characters, in my opinion. It doesn't make Kaido this black and white bad guy. I mean, of course, he leans more towards the bad than he does the good, but at least in these flashbacks, just like we have with Big Mom, we see that there are good qualities to them. We see that there is a reason why some of these people do follow them, other than fear, right? Jack fears Kaido. A lot of people fear Kaido. Kaido often tortures a lot of the people he captures into joining his crew, or becoming his subordinates, or becoming allies. But with King, he flat out told King, you're powerful. You deserve a name better and more powerful than Arbor. Call yourself King and stand beside me, and you'll be my right-hand man. And I like it. He didn't force King to be a subordinate. He just straight up told you, hey, I respect your power. You know what? You're capable of a lot. Join me. and we can change the world, you know. And King very strongly believes that Kaido will be the next pirate king, and that goes just the same for Big Mom and some of her kids, and especially when it came to Katakuri. Katakuri really wanted Big Mom to be the pirate queen, and then once he saw Luffy's potential, he kind of wasn't getting in the way of that. But it's interesting though. It's really interesting to see how some of these people do join these Yonko and why they believe that their captains can be the pirate kings. Um, we see that, you know, I'm trying to think about what to say. We see that King is using this Imperial Dragon technique, which is basically this giant dragon made out of flames. And Zoro's remarking that the flames are like magma. So there's something there. But Zoro's landing some slashes in. He uses a technique called bird dance. And we also see with King's sword, like there's serrated edges in there. So when they do lock blades, the swords that Zoro has catch in like the little nooks, and it's almost like King can take it, but Zoro breaks that lock. And when Zoro gets free of that, you know, sword entanglement, King proceeds to kick him, and Zoro's basically remarking that he doesn't have much time or else his sword is going to kill him. And King is remarking that he's at his limit too. And King has this mindset of, I am superior to you. You will not even survive, but I will remember you as a pretty decent swordsman. And Zoro's like, well, you know what? If you survive this, I'm going to beat my memory of me into you. And, King proceeds to transform, and then he proceeds to use Imperial Dragon or Imperial Guarding Dragon. And I think this is his most strongest attack. And this is where Zoro notices that the flame is out. And Zoro then does his own attack. And he manages to not only slice through the Imperial Dragon, but he manages to slash at King. And I just don't know. Like, I think that is the definitive fight there. King hasn't exactly blacked out at the end of the panel, but that is the end of the chapter. It was a very short but action-filled chapter. My thoughts on everything is that when it comes to Zoro, like Zoro really doesn't get pushed too hard in a lot of these fights in like the new world. That's all I'm just gonna say. He doesn't get really pushed. He doesn't get really challenged. And King is really the first person to challenge him or push him. And I still don't feel like we have seen Zoro pushed to his limit. I know he stated that, but I don't feel like we've actually seen Zoro pushed to his limit, to be completely honest. He was more so on the timer because of his sword rather than legitimately being physically and mentally pushed to his limit. Right. And but yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. It's interesting, and it's kind of disappointing. I think, if I'm being completely honest, it's kind of disappointing to see Sanji defeat Queen so easily, in my opinion. Then again, it was a hard fought fight, but I just felt like Luffy and Sanji and Zoro, they're at such a level now where like commanders of Yonko, at least Kaido's commanders, aren't really of a high enough caliber to pose a decent enough fight. It's not a high diff fight between Sanji and Queen. I'd say it's like a mid diff fight. King and Zoro, I'd say it was a mid diff fight. I say the only high diff fights that are going on right now is like Luffy and Kaido, and Luffy's taken 2 L's so far, which is fair. It's Kaido, right? But I just feel like when it comes to Yonko and their commanders, the distance and power is so vast. Luffy is really out here trying to go toe to toe with these Yonko, and then his subordinates, Zoro and Sanji, they're kind of dealing with Kaido's commanders like it's nothing, And I'm more interested to see Shanks's crew at this point, because the world government specifically said that Shanks's crew is more evened out in terms of power, and that it's more well-rounded. So not one person is just significantly stronger than another one. So Shanks is pretty strong in his own right, And then we have Ben Beckman, Kizaru was very afraid to do anything when Ben Beckman was pointing a pistol at him. If everybody's around similar levels of strength, then that's going to be a harder crew to beat overall, right? And that's what I'm kind of hoping for Sanji's crew. I'm hoping everybody's of a similar skill level where they can kind of hang with Shanks, and they will give Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji a run for their money if they ever do fight. Um, I think Blackbeard's crew is a mix of something between Kaido's and Shanks's, where everybody is of a pretty high caliber of skill, and none of them are really slouches. But at the same time, there's still a lot of them, right? But that's my thoughts for this chapter. What are your thoughts about chapter 1035? What are your thoughts about the fight between Zoro and King? Do you think that Sanji beat Queen a little too easy, or did you think that the difficulty of the fight was merited? Because I did feel like when it comes to power levels for the commanders, it was Jack, Queen, and King. But now I feel like it's Queen, Jack, and King. I feel like Queen is the weakest one. I feel like people think that Jack is the weakest one because he takes a lot of freaking L's, but he's fighting Sulong form, Duke, and Neko Mamushi, and he has really been doing all of this work. He's been the one out here doing the heavy lifting and been the one out here just kind of throwing hands when throwing hands needs to be done. And we don't really see Queen throwing too much hands. Queen is more so like the plotter, the schemer. He'd rather let his underlings do the dirty work. And of course, he's pretty strong in his own right, and he has his own techniques and his own body modifications that make him formidable. But I feel like when it comes to just pure strength and pure fighting skill, I do think that Jack is either equal to Queen or slightly better, just by a small margin. Small margin. But that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Like the video, comment below, and if you want to show some support to the channel, it's only 99 cents a month to become a member. I would appreciate it. Bye, guys.